after last season ended in absolute shock.
And it's picked off Jeremy Chin. And Washington will be going to the NFC Championship for the first time in 33 years.
And they stumbled out of the gate against the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. It seemed that perhaps an overhaul in the coaching staff had caught up with the Detroit Lions. But now, since that opening game, Detroit has looked like the best team in the NFC and clawed their way back to a top spot in the division. And yes, it was definitely far from easy, but the Lions appear to have stabilized after an offseason of change with continuity where it matters the most in the staff and in the front office. And because of those reasons and all of the ones we're going to go over in today's video is exactly why the 2025 Detroit Lions know exactly what they're doing. KRICH crew, we are back and we are suiting up. This is one of my hats that I've been so excited to wear. This hat is so dope for the Lions. But as always, if you guys are new here, make sure that you guys comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know that you guys are a part of the KRICH crew with a comment down below, and I will make sure to get back to every single one of you. I'm going back to last video and trying to respond to all your comments, but I am only one person, so I will make sure to get back to you in some way, shape, or form. But with all of that out of the way now, we have to talk about the Detroit Lions, because coming into this season, I thought they were going to struggle a little bit after losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. And well, turns out that Dan Campbell is just a very good coach, I think. Like, as we all know, just one of their trademark staples that we've all known the Detroit Lions to become accustomed for now is their trademark resilience that they show week in and week out. And look, I know hindsight is 2020 and everything, but there were legitimate reasons to be actually concerned about the Detroit Lions headed into this 2025 season. Not only did they lose both coordinators, but they lost two crucial leaders to head coaching vacancies, a testament to just how good Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were at their jobs respectively. Many people were trying to make this comparison too, that the Lions of this year were like the 2023 Eagles, who had lost Shane Steichen to the Colts and Jonathan Gannon to the Cardinals, only to implode midway through the ensuing season with the new guys at the helm. And while you're probably wondering, along with a lot of other people are wondering, how would they avoid that fate? And it was simple. They happened to get the right guys. Both offensive coordinator John Morton and defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard were familiar with the Lions organization, and more importantly, Dan Campbell's operation in Motor City. Morton's a Michigan native, but he also served as a senior offensive assistant in Detroit under Ben Johnson back in 2022, which was Jared Goff's breakout year as a Lion. Ahead of his first season in charge of this offense in Detroit too, Morton reflected on Goff's progression since he was last part of the organization.
I just think he's extremely smart. He's grown since the last time I was here. His accuracy on deep balls and everything is it's phenomenal. The way, the spatial awareness, what he sees inside, I mean, I don't even know how to really coach that. He's got a real good feel about that. I just think anything inside or down the field where he's in rhythm, his accuracy is phenomenal in that way.
And as we all know, just maintaining that continuity on the offensive side of the ball was going to be important, and they basically retained all of their skill players to make sure the offense was going to be just as explosive. But on the offensive line, they did lose one key piece. Franchise center Frank Ragnow suddenly retired in July, which left a huge void at the heart of the line. But with rookie guard Tate Ratledge impressing at training camp, Graham Glasgow moving to center left the line in unfamiliar territory heading into week one. And sure, yes, you still had Gibbs and Montgomery running behind them, St. Brown, Jamo, and Laporta catching passes, but facing off against a Micah Parsons-led defense at Lambeau in Morton and Shepard's debut as coordinators was never going to be easy. And as we all remember in week one, it was not pretty at all. In fact, really it felt like Detroit's week one loss to Green Bay may have been a turning point for the Detroit Lions as a whole. Many people thought maybe these Lions would have it worse than the 2023 Eagles. Not only was John Morton's offense completely impotent, leaving Lambeau with an absurd garbage time touchdown from Isaac Tasala, but Kelvin Shepard's defense was carved to pieces by Jordan Love. But that's the thing, if there's one thing you should know about Kelvin Shepard, it's that he embodies Detroit's toughness even more than Aaron Glenn. Shepard played for the Lions back in 2018 and had been on the staff since 2021 as a linebacker coach. And even this clip from a press conference after the loss to the Packers, you get a pretty clear impression of the type of coach Shepard is and the energy he's brought to the Lions facility over the past 5 years.
There's a lot of good football on this tape. We played 47 snaps defensively, and they had 188 passing yards, 78 rushing. So if you look at an NFL game and you tell me the Green Bay Packers are going to have 188 passing yards and 78 rushing. Did you play a winning brand of football? I would tell you yes, but then you have to look deeper into that. So what happened? Why did we give up 27 points? And it's a lot of things that go into that, a lot of different variables that go into that. But let's start with the pass game. 188 yards. Well, I believe it was play 18, 19 of the game. We had back-to-back plays where we allowed a 48-yard explosive pass and a 17-yard explosive touchdown pass that we went into the game saying, you got to make these guys beat us. You cannot give them things because that's when they thrive. You have to make them beat us, and we did not do that on back-to-back plays. Inexcusable, and that's been addressed. So you take, what is that, 48-17? I'm not a math major, but I believe that's 65 yards. You take that off of 180, you're looking at 120 yards passing on the day. Let's go into the run game. We held them to 3.1 rushing. That's a good day in the NFL against a back like that. It's a good day. But we should have been dominant in the run game. We should have been at 2.2. Why do I say that? Because one of those was a 15-yard explosive run that should have never happened. That's been addressed as well. So when you go in the day, it's a lot of good to take for it. So 47 plays, I just gave you 3, where you 2.2 in the run game and 120 yards passing. That's who we are, and that's who I expect us to be, and that's who we will be, and it's non-negotiable. And all this stuff has been addressed with the people it need to be addressed with, and more importantly, the players are holding each other accountable. And in the NFL, that's why each practice, each rep you get, each opportunity you get on that grass is so critical and important because you never know which one is going to be the one. You never know. You can't leave the game playing this game up. We played good defense on 40 snaps, but 7 snaps, we're not doing that this year. You're going to pull your weight. I'm going to pull my weight. The staff's going to pull their weight. And we're moving on to Chicago. And I'm looking for us to play up to the standard that we're capable of playing up to. Any questions?
Like, after watching that clip too, I can confidently say that Kelvin Shepherd feels like it's Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn just wrapped up in one person. Like, with that kind of attention to detail and accountability, it goes a long way in preserving the culture that they've already built in Detroit. And just as Shepherd promised, that was on full display the following week against Chicago.
What has Ben's greatest strength as a play caller?
Everything. Next question.
And yes, like I said, Kelvin Shepherd, the bro is locked in. Since they hosted the Bears, the Lions let the entire league know that they were here to stay as a top contender in the NFC. Like, for all of the talk of trouble adjusting to the coordinator changes, they've been absolutely flying from week 2 onwards. Against Chicago, as promised, the defense showed up, generating 2 turnovers and flustering a supposedly rejuvenated Caleb Williams. What made this win even sweeter, though, is that it came against Ben Johnson, one of the biggest reasons for Detroit's falling stock in NFL circles. Johnson's offense was believed to be just so good that not only would the Lions struggle without him, but the Bears were meant to take the league by storm and look like the free-scoring unit he had assembled in Detroit. Instead, though, Johnson and company were stumped at Ford Field and instead got to see the Lions' talented cast get revenge on their former boss. Detroit's offense combined for 511 yards on the night, which is not bad from John Morton, who had done the unthinkable and stated to Ben Johnson's face that this was his team now. And yes, when they were already up 45-21, the Lions chose to go for it on 4th and goal, which did draw criticism from some, but Ben Johnson knew that this was par for the course and from the monster which he had helped create and John Morton helped steer.
What's he supposed to do? It's 4th and goal. What do you want him to do? Yeah, he could have kicked the field goal. They don't kick field goals. They go for it there. So he was doing what he was supposed to do. That's what he does.
And after that win too, they were back to 500 and basically back to square one on the season. And I think it's safe to say too that basically everybody in NFL circles and just NFL fans around the league know that the Lions Super Bowl window isn't going to be open forever. But they did want to prove that it still is open, and what better way to do that than on prime time against one of the Super Bowl favorites this year. The Ravens were considerably favored heading into their Monday night matchup against the Lions, and Detroit has only won a single game against a division rival who was largely as an unknown. Like, the disastrous showing in Lambeau still rang loud in the public's memory, and at M&T Bank Stadium, the Lions would have their chance to right that wrong, and they did exactly that. Beginning with the offense, who controlled the ball for the vast majority of the game with multiple long scoring drives, including a crucial tone setter that went 98 yards and drained nearly 11 minutes off the clock immediately after going 3 and out. And just as they had in the Chicago game, they never took their foot off the gas. In the fourth quarter, up by a score with less than 2 minutes left, David Montgomery chose to run the ball 31 yards in the end zone instead of draining the clock, demonstrating the same aggression that has defined these Lions in the Dan Campbell era. Most importantly though, for the second straight week, the offense did not commit a single turnover, which as we all know proved to be their Achilles heel in the playoffs last year, and it's a critical strength for any team that intends to make a deep run into the playoffs. The defense, on the other hand though, they were doing everything it could to generate turnovers from Baltimore. It would end up being Aiden Hutchinson with the all-important peanut punch on Derrick Henry to help seal the game, but that's not where the fun stops on this defense. Jack Campbell also forced a strip sack on Lamar, while the unit as a whole combined for 7 sacks on the 2-time MVP, which is tied for the most he's ever taken in a game. And really, Lamar Jackson didn't have much to say after the Ravens' 8-point loss, complimenting the opposition.
You know, we got beat tonight. You know, Lions had a great game plan. I feel like offense and defense for those guys played great. We just got to find a way to win.
And it's just like that the Detroit Lions have rehabilitated their image as one of the most feared teams in the NFL, and this time that could be said about them on both sides of the ball. No longer were the new coordinators seen as a hindrance, but now the questions are being asked about Morton and Shepard, concerned about their ceiling rather than their floor. And really, this is just truly a testament to Dan Campbell and GM Brad Holmes, not only for bringing in familiar faces who knew what the expectations were and who would be more than capable of maintaining the culture off of the field and playing on it, but also for correcting the errors at every pass. Like, the offense isn't turning the ball over, yet it's still producing at a noteworthy rate. And that's the thing too, if you really want to know just how dominant the Detroit Lions have been this year, then the Hall of Fame app is going to help you guys see just how good they've been playing this year. As we all know and I've been mentioning, this app delivers data-driven insights tied to NFL storylines with matchup grades, exclusive player prop insights, and injury updates, so you're always aware of factors that impact bets and fantasy. And now look, as we all know, their usage share chart is going to show you who's getting those red zone targets like Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on top of that too, it's going to instantly show you the combos that are going to give you the best odds of hitting. And if we build a parlay on here too, which I'm going to help you guys do, which if we head over here and type in Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I fully expect him and Jahmyr Gibbs to score a touchdown this week against the Bengals because the Bengals just look atrocious without Joe Burrow. So I'm going to go ahead and add both of them to a parlay. So we're going to add Amon-Ra St. Brown 1 anytime touchdown, and then we're going to type in Jahmyr Gibbs. And this time we're going to add anytime touchdown with 2 of them. And we click on our bet slip and see what it gives us. And we can see in the last 10 games that Amon-Ra has a 60% chance of hitting that, as he's done it in 6 of his last 10. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, 2 anytime touchdowns, has a 40% chance with an overall 20% chance. And we can bet this at DraftKings for plus 340. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it in over there and make sure that we are using the HOF app, which is going to take us right to the DraftKings app and place this bet for us. And the best part is too, is that right now you guys can get 50% off of your first month by using code KRICH, which makes it, instead of $20, it makes it $10. And on top of that, you're going to get a 7-day free trial. So again, use code KRICH and get the edge that all the pros are using and that I use to make all of my parlays. Again, thank you to the HOF app for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back into it. Now, as we all know, they've been tested against 2 elite defenses and finally got to prove their worth. Although ahead of their Week 4 matchup against the Browns, it seemed that offensive coordinator John Morton talked himself into some trouble.
They've been almost historic stopping the run. You've really seen it all 3 weeks, Cincinnati, Green Bay, and Baltimore.
Yeah.
There's pretty good backs in there, especially the last 2 weeks. So what makes them, watching on film, so good? 57.3 yards a game, that's pretty darn good, John.
Well, I think I'm going back to us. The last few weeks. I mean, our front right now, we're moving guys. I don't think they've seen a run game like ours yet. And, you know, we have patience. We stick with it. I think that's the biggest thing. Let's keep doing what we've been doing.
Neither Cleveland defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz nor Myles Garrett took too kindly to that, with the later responding,
He's entitled to his opinion. We haven't seen a defensive front like ours, and he's entitled to say what he wants, and we have the privilege to see who's right, and I think it'll be a battle of ideologies, and I think our DC also has some things to say, and we have to be the ones to put it into action, and so we have to meet and see who's up. You know, at the end of the day, that's last 3 games. You know, they have to, you know, do that on Sunday, and that's not guaranteed. You know, they have to show up and be those same guys. You know, when the time calls at 1 o'clock, you know, we have to show them that they can't be there.
And look, when the two sides met on the field, it initially seemed that the Lions were stumbling against another one of the league's premier pass rushers, punting on their opening drive only for the Browns to score on theirs. Detroit did respond in kind though and eventually jumped out to a 20-7 lead, which they would eventually see out for a 34-10 win. But the biggest stories of this game came on the special teams as Jake Bates hit from 48 and 58 on stalled drives to keep the scoreboard ticking over, while Khalif Raymond's 65-yard punt return secured Detroit a 3-score lead early in the fourth quarter. The defense also secured 2 picks and a forced fumble while the offense ran an absolute riot, just as Morton had promised. One of the more surprising stats too is that this offensive line hasn't allowed a sack on Goff since week 1 against the Packers, so it's not bad for a unit with a makeshift center and a rookie right guard. Meanwhile, as we all know, right tackle Penei Sewell is out here making history, registering a 99.3 PFF run block rate against Baltimore, which is the highest ever recorded in a single game. Like, not only are they running the ball through anybody, but these Lions are the highest scoring offense in the league, averaging 34.3 points per game. Meanwhile, the defense has tied for a league-high 14 sacks, with Aiden Hutchinson back and terrorizing offensive lines even through double teams. Like, that's the absolute definition of complementary football. And although there have been even more disappointing injury trends on defense with Marcus Davenport and DJ Reed facing stretches on the IR, the Lions have bounced back admirably from their rough start in 2025. Now back atop the NFC North, with the throne being theirs to lose, who's to say that even with the loss of both coordinators this offseason, the 2025 Lions are better positioned than they have ever been for a Lombardi push.